let's go through a little bit of reader mail, shall we?
Sounds good.
First piece is coming from Rob. He actually sent this a couple weeks ago, but we just are now getting to it, so sorry about that, Rob. So my question for you and the gang, are you happy with the idea of downloadable characters? Doesn't it take away from the whole point of Toys to Life? Do you think it may ruin the game having a character you have to switch to via a character selection menu? I've talked about this at length, so actually I'm going to throw this to Pirate and Steve C first, and then Lloyd, I want to hear your thoughts.
I would personally, I like to have the figure. So, I would download it for completeness sake if that's the only way I could get it. But I'm more into getting the actual figure.
And I don't think it would ruin the game, but I think it would subtract from it substantially. The characters are one of the things that make the game so much fun to me. Yeah, the game itself is fun, but really I like collecting the toys and they look really cool on display. I would be okay with it if it was one like special one per 1.0 and 2.0, as long as it didn't subtract from them making the physical characters. If I had to subtract a physical character on my thing to get a digital one, I wouldn't like that at all. I don't think anybody would, unless it was a $5 thing versus a $13 thing in the store. I don't see the appeal in it.
Yeah.
The closest thing we have to that is the costume change power disc. I know last Halloween episode we were talking about how we wanted, or Will especially wanted, a Sandy Claus figurine. But now you can get the power disc to make Jack Skellington into Sandy Claus. I don't feel bad that I don't have a Sandy Claus figure. It's just cool that if that's the only way they can make it happen, to have a power disc to change into it in game. I'm okay with that part.
Yeah, it's a good compromise while not necessarily making you buy a new figure.
You would still way rather have the Sandy Claus character, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but
if you have a preference, you're definitely choosing the character over a costume disc, right?
Right, but if that means they would never, they weren't planning on coming out with a Sandy Claus figure, and the only way I can do it is if it's a power disc, then hey, at least I can play it as it is in the game.
A DLC or power disc is better than nothing, right? That's what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Lloyd, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I personally would never buy a digital figure only. Part of the fun is slapping your figure down, having it appear in the game and playing with it. The knowing that your figure is level 12 or level 15 or level 20, and if you bring it to a friend's house and do all that stuff, it's the same. That's where the real fun stuff is. I played there was a Skylanders game on the iPad where you could buy digital figures to play with the game, and I'm just like, who would actually ever do that? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I would never buy digital figures for the PC version, for example. I'd be the guy that would go out and buy the physical figures and punch in the code if I wanted to play as that figure. I don't know. It's just the game is part and parcel with the figure, and the game is one thing. It's not one or the other for me.
Totally agree. Totally agree with that. What all of you said mirrored my thoughts exactly. I think what this question is coming from was news last couple of weeks about new characters, a few new characters at least, being added via DLC. Just because that's kind of what's been said and alluded to, I think it's important to understand, or at least entertain the ideas that doesn't negate the idea of a figure. It just means that maybe a figure's coming with the character. It's just not included on the disc right now, and so it's going to have to be patched in via DLC. So I think that term DLC, which was what was used with this rumor or confirmation, but if that is the case, if we are getting a figure with some software that's going to be downloaded, I think in that situation, that software is actually an update. It's like a patch and not necessarily DLC. In my opinion, DLC is digital content that you purchase to get that digital content. So that's just my thought on that.
Exactly. JV tweeted today that, it's going to be a patch that will come down that will add the assets for that figure, but the new unannounced figures will be actual figures, not just digital download, pay $3 and play with this virtual figure type thing.
Perfect. I mean, why would they, right? It's yes, you might be able to cash in on $3 easier than the development of a new figure, but there's a reason that we have blind bags, and there's a reason we have physical. There's no reason this game could not have been made with a game that did not need physical, what are they called, in-game pieces. So yeah, that's a moneymaker for them. So they chances are they're not going to want to not do that.